Most disasters don't start with explosions. They start with paperwork, forms, conversions. Someone saying, "Yeah, that looks right." This story begins in 1983 with a perfectly normal airplane, a perfectly normal crew, and a perfectly stupid mistake. A Boeing 767 sat on the runway waiting to fly from Montreal to Edmonton. Brand new aircraft, modern, advanced. So advanced, in fact, that it introduced a problem no one had practiced for. This plane used kilograms for fuel calculations. The ground crew? Still thinking in pounds. Canada had just switched measurement systems, which meant half the people were living in the future, and the other half were still emotionally attached to the past. Fuel was loaded, numbers were checked, everything looked fine, except it wasn't. The plane took off with about half the fuel it actually needed. Nobody noticed, because numbers don't scream. Somewhere over Canada, the first warning light came on. Fuel pressure problem. The crew looked at each other. Not ideal, but manageable. Then the second engine flamed out. Silence. At cruising altitude. At this point, the plane became a 130-ton metal brick with passengers inside. No engines, no thrust, no power. Then the cockpit went dark. No instruments, no screens, no computers, just wind noise and a very real understanding of gravity. The captain, Robert Pearson, realized something terrifying. This wasn't a systems failure. They had simply run out of fuel. At 41,000 feet, which is not where planes like to discover that fact. Most pilots never experience a full power loss because planes are not designed for that. They are designed for engines, plural. This one had 0. Pearson did something unexpected. He didn't panic. He started gliding. Turns out Pearson had a hobby. He flew gliders, planes without engines, which made him the luckiest man in aviation history. He estimated how far they could glide, not land, glide. He spotted an old Air Force base in Gimli, Manitoba, except the base had been converted into a racetrack on that exact day. There were families on the runway, kids, cars, people eating snacks, because why wouldn't there be? The pilots aimed anyway. No engines means no second chances. Pearson brought the plane down manually. No hydraulics, no powered steering, barely any braking. The nose gear collapsed. The plane scraped along the runway, throwing sparks. Passengers screamed. Children ran. Cars scattered. And then, silence. Everyone survived. Not one fatality. The aircraft stopped just short of a crowd. The plane later became known as the Gimli Glider, not because it was elegant, but because it had absolutely no business working. The cause? A unit conversion error. Kilograms versus pounds. That's it. No sabotage, no villains, no dramatic betrayal. Just people assuming the system would catch the mistake. Pearson was praised. The crew was trained as a case study. The plane was repaired and flew again. And aviation quietly learned something important. Technology doesn't remove responsibility. It just hides it better. Nobody woke up that morning planning to risk 69 lives. They followed procedure. They trusted the numbers. They assumed someone else had checked. And the sky nearly collected the bill. Most life-altering mistakes don't feel dangerous when they start. They feel routine, administrative, boring, until suddenly you're gliding. No power, no safety net, just whatever skill and awareness you bothered to build earlier. So here's the question we wish to ask you. If everything you rely on suddenly went quiet, no system, no instructions, no guidance, could you still land the plane? Or are you trusting a calculation you never personally checked?